Welcome to a Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and once again I'm joined by Stevie Mullen to look back on a promising performance this evening. Stevie, I think before the game we would have taken a 2-2.
Would have been delighted with a draw, but apart from the result, I think the performance tonight and the improvement in the team was absolutely magnificent. There were some times we were watching it there in the second half, the discipline of the team, how they were lining up like a checkerboard, the midfield filling the gaps between the back four. Really, really impressive performance tonight for Celtic, and really, really unlucky only to get 1 point. A fortunate goal, Brian Christie turns off the first one. The second one, the guy has a missed kick, falls to his other forward, and it takes a deflection and goes into the net. But overall, I thought we were very, very good tonight and delighted with that performance.
See, when you look, you're likening it to a chess game or a drafts game. I mean, the shape, they were so disciplined with that shape. You could see the lines, Stevie. That's been missing from Celtic. We've been kind of all over the place in recent weeks. What changed tonight?
I don't know if it's just been the sort of the week that they've had and the meetings they've had, from the board meeting to the dressing room meeting, where they've all realised their responsibility to Celtic and to their manager if they want to keep him in his job. But tonight they played, every last one of them played to the ultimate for their manager and for their football club. Absolutely delighted. Some fantastic performances there. But what I would say, for the first time this season, every single player gave every single thing they had.
Not a bad performance in that Celtic side. We'll pick out some of the performances, Stevie. Let's start with Shane Duffy. This is a man who has come up with a big reputation. That's a man that Celtic fans wanted, and he's come in for some real criticism in recent weeks. Yes, he gave away a penalty. I don't even think it was in the box, to be fair, Stevie, and Scott Bain saved that penalty. I thought he looked solid tonight.
He'll be a good player for Celtic. He's had a wee bit of a shaky start. Maybe the amount of games, again, something we spoke about, the amount of possession Celtic usually have. Is it maybe more ironic tonight they had one of his better games because you've not got as much possession and he's having to just concentrate on his defensive work?
Yeah.
But even, which again, of something that was a wee bit more impressive, we changed the shape during the game and brought on players, and they all looked comfortable even when they moved. And again, we had a couple of wee sort of half chances at the end. Velanussi had a fantastic game. Just has the shot away instead of trying to take the extra touch. Frimpong, a couple of times when we broke, and the Black Salt and Frimpong made the same run and shut down the space. But overall, I hope the Celtic fans are all absolutely delighted with that performance tonight.
I think watching it with yourself, Stevie, we certainly were. There was a desire about every one of those players as individuals, but collectively they were solid. And again, sometimes it's difficult to understand why you don't see that every game. I think a lot of that came from the gaffer on the sidelines. I mean, the way that he was animated, he spoke all the way through the game. It's a different side to Lenny that we've not really seen it this season.
Well, you could hear the shouts from the side of the park, and the positivity, and at different stages when it was corners or set pieces against, as he was telling them to turn on and barking out instructions. That's what you want as a player. You want your manager to be passive. We've got a really vociferous, ambitious young manager, but he's got to do that role to the best of his ability. He can't be something he's not. This sitting passive isn't Neil Lennon, and that would transfer itself to the players. We've got to be on the front foot, we've got to be passionate, we've got to be emotion. But tonight we were disciplined. There was one just later on, and I actually thought it was fantastic when Sorrow just tripped the guy up.
Yeah.
Great foul. If we'd have done that on Sunday, we'd have got 3 points. That's what gets you points or wins you games, just being that wee bit more professional. He's running by, just take him out of play.
We've seen about 15 minutes of Sorrow. He looks as though he's going to be more of the defensive type. Stevie, quite impressed with him. You're looking at the same time, Welsh coming on. Part of his development, getting the European game under his belt as well, having played against AC Milan, of course. And big Tommy Rogic comes on. And again, he's a guy who, just a few weeks ago, we were all resigned to losing Tommy Rogic. It looks as though he can play a big part again this season.
Well, Tommy Rogic had left Celtic earlier in the pre-season, during the transfer window. There's no use denying that, or he's Celtic through and through. Tommy Rogic was away, and then there was a development with his transfer out of the club. But fair play to Tommy Rogic, fair play to the Celtic backroom staff. They've embraced him back in. He's got himself fit. Now he's adding something to our game.
What I seen throughout the game as well was El Yunusi and Laxalt, who we'll speak about individually because I thought both of them were outstanding tonight. But actually they were supporting each other throughout that second half. You could see how they were kind of doubling up. And it's great how Laxalt, after 4 games, yes, he's never been on a winning side yet, Stevie. But tonight's performance, we've got on our hands here an outstanding footballer, not only offensively, some of the defensive work he was doing was tremendous.
They're up and down the park. That's something you can't put in. Guys can have ability, but if they don't have that desire and will to win, it's wasted talent. Both those young men tonight, Laxalt and El Yunusi, worked their socks off. And with their undoubted ability, they both put in great performances for Celtic tonight. Absolutely delighted for the two of them.
I mean, El Yunusi, for me, it's the best performance we've seen. Not just this season, but in a Celtic jersey for him. He could have had a hat-trick, He had a chance with a header in the first half, but in the second half, it all just lined up for him. You're screaming for him just to strike it. He probably takes a touch too many. But, he showed today, and tonight rather, just why, we were so keen to bring him in for a second season on loan.
But the wee thing with the chance he had in the second half, and it's really dead easy for us all sitting in a chair, but by that time you could be getting a wee bit of mental fatigue or anything, and you just want to be extra touch to make it great. Tonight I'm no criticising any of them, Paul.
No.
I'm really no. I thought that effort, if they all look in the mirror tonight, none of them left anything on that park tonight.
No.
And I can't ask any more for any player that you've gave everything. Even if you've not a good game, if you've gave everything in your body, like I thought Olivier Ntcham was sensational tonight, but by the end of his game, he looks shattered.
Yeah.
So if he's gave us everything in his legs for 70 minutes, I'm more than happy because we've got good substitutes we can bring on who can perform to a very high level.
The only disappointing thing this evening is the fact that we didn't win the game. That's the only disappointment, but I'm taking nothing away from that performance, Steve. I think the performance is so important because it's kind of re-energised us as Celtic supporters, but I think it's re-energised Neil Lennon, looking at his demeanour, which is something we spoke about earlier on today, but also the team itself. So going in to this game on Sunday, how important is that performance tonight in respect of how we approach the game on Sunday?
Well, now you know the level of performance that we're capable of. So we need to build on that confidence, which we'll give ourselves tonight. If our guys hit that level of performance on Sunday, and I would imagine Neil might make a couple of changes, we should be able to blow Aberdeen away. Mm-hmm. Lille are a far superior team. As I said to you before the game, we were always told the only undefeated team in France. We matched them toe for toe.
It's going to be an interesting encounter between Milan and Lille, I think. That's two strong sides we've faced. And last week, despite all the criticism, last week we were chasing a 2-2 and the sucker punch at the end through a defensive mistake. So I think we can take loads of positives from tonight. I think defensively we've been criticised and we've been critical of Celtic defensively. They looked strong tonight, Stevie. Going into Sunday's game, there's a decision to be made on Bain. Does he keep the jersey? Do you bring back Barkas? It's going to be a tough one for Lenny.
I think the other wee thing as well we need to take into consideration that we were forced into another defensive change earlier in the second half with Christopher Ayer off. Beaton done okay when he came on, but would we have conceded the goals if Ayer's in the park? It's a different conversation that none of us can ever prove yes or no. But again, it was another change we had to make through, and we just hope that it's no serious for Christopher Ayer. Although he was able to walk around the park, which usually proves that it's not that bad.
It was great, actually. Not under the circumstances, but it was great to see Beaton and Edouard back on the park as well. The performance of Eddie again. He's maybe a bit rusty, but looked a wee bit. He was up for it. I think that Celtic, for much of that game, were firing on all cylinders. Do you think they looked like a team who had something to prove, Stevie?
I think they've got something to prove to each other, to their manager, to their board of directors, and most importantly, they've got something to prove to Celtic fans. The Celtic fans have gave Celtic Football Club magnificent backing this year, financially and morally. So they have a responsibility to perform. And tonight, I think they gave a wee bit back to the Celtic fans.
The thing again, I've been reading again today, just hours ago, Celtic fans being described as, some of, being described as spoilt. We've heard that, we're acting as though we're entitled. There's been all of these, You know, these terms thrown at Celtic fans, we've been behaving in an erratic manner, we're panty wetters, all of these things. What I think it is, Stevie, is over a period of time, there's a standard and there's an ambition within the Celtic support. There's nothing wrong with having ambition when you see something that isn't up to the standards that you're used to, that you're striving to maintain those standards. You don't want it to dip. I don't see that as being entitled.
We want the best for our football team.
Yep.
That's the club we support. We were gifted that Celtic as a children. Why would we not want the best for them? You know, and the best is winning every possible trophy.
Yep.
So that's where we're coming from. That's our level. If we set the bar, oh, it doesn't matter if we win, it doesn't matter, then everything won't work. You've got to set the highest possible standards you can.
No, you're right. And it's frustrating this season of all seasons to be sitting watching the game rather than actually being at the game. You're watching it on the TV, you're trying to analyse it that way. And you can't vent at the game. You can't do your usual routine after the game, Stevie. So, you know, straight away you're doing live broadcasts, you're on social media. And I think that has changed the dynamic without a shadow of a doubt. We've no idea when we'll be back at Celtic Park. But looking at that performance tonight, that's enthused me certainly, with some belief that we can go into Sunday's game and, you know, hopefully keep the quadruple treble on track. Because if we turn up against any team in Scotland and play like we did tonight, then we can beat anybody.
There's no denying our undoubted ability, Paul. But tonight we maximised the effort and the passion we put into our play, allied to that skill. We don't have anybody to match us in Scotland if we put in that effort. Because if you win your wee individual battles, you'll win the war. And we have got some fantastic footballers, as they proved tonight. I don't even want to say why have we not had that this season. Let's kick on from tonight. Let's be positive. And if we get into Sunday with that ambition and drive, then we'll win comfortably on Sunday.
I totally agree with that. We'll run through some of the star performers. And as I said before, Steve, I don't think we had a bad performance individually on that park this evening. Scott Bain, you know, he's given Neil Lennon a decision to make. Without a doubt, on Sunday it's going to be interesting how we line up and whether Bain keeps the jersey. Great penalty save. 3 or 4 other very good penalty saves. Don't think he can do much about the first goal that Lille scored because it is slack at the back. You could see Bruni looking at Ryan Christie straight away. He's been caught flat-footed. He's turned, he's flat-footed. But Duffy and Ayer, again, praise for Duffy tonight. I think he needs a wee bit of praise. Unfortunately, Ayer comes off. Hopefully, that doesn't keep him out because we're just getting beat on back. Elhamed may be on the bench on Sunday, but looking at Frimpong and Laxalt, all week I've been talking about Frimpong being an offensive player, someone who's a winger rather than a wing back. He showed that he can play right back tonight.
I think the difference from that as well, Paul, was the support they got in front of him. Mm-hmm. I thought Ryan Christie and Elyounoussi were absolutely magnificent in playing alongside them, where we had partnerships instead of one guy having to fend 2 men. Every time they attacked on either flank, we had support for each other.
Yeah.
I thought the partnerships worked well. Frimpong, Christie, Laxalt and Elyounoussi, I thought they worked fantastically well. I thought Frimpong defensively, Laxalt defensively, brilliant. Offensively, even better.
Now, Laxalt, what's a player we've got in our hands there, Stevie?
Looks as if I've got an absolute superstar. An absolute superstar. I thought the young man was absolutely brilliant. And after his first initial games, looked still very fit at the end of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Now, McGregor and Brown, I think they done a lot of the stuff that, you know, often goes unnoticed. I mean, the work the pair of them put in was tremendous. I think I've said before, sometimes McGregor becomes so consistent that he fades into the background. You don't notice him as one of the superstars. I thought him and Brown were outstanding this evening. Elyounoussi, best game I've seen in a Celtic jersey from him. And what about Ryan Christie again? Because again, you know, this season he's coming for a lot of stick for his distribution. His work rate is incredible, Stevie.
Tonight his discipline was fantastic because Ryan would want to be involved and linked with everything. But he stayed wide right and gave his fullback all the cover he needed. There was once in the 86th minute, Callum McGregor just been in the right place, made a fantastic interception when they were a dangerous move. Callum McGregor was another one who had a great game tonight. Moving forward, Elyounoussi, different class. Ayeti, very good. Eddie just excludes class and ability.
Oh, he does. You know, there was a few moments tonight where you're looking at him and he's just, you know, dinking the ball over defenders' heads. You think to yourself, if he's in the right position, he could still score. I still thought Celtic were capable of nicking a goal at the end. Ayeti, what we've seen from him tonight was more of the Viduka than the Hooper, and that's the comparison that I've made in the past. And I know they're different stature of players, but I see a lot of work outside of the box. There was a moment where he's been on the front post and intercepted with a header, Ajeti, which is brilliant. Something you won't see from Edouard. We used to see it from Dembele quite a bit, Stevie. So I think there's a lot more to come from Ajeti.
If you're going to give Ajeti a comparison with Mark Viduka, then you couldn't give him a higher compliment. Mark Viduka was a fantastic player, and if Ajeti can get to the levels, again, we've got a real bargain on my hands. No, I thought he was really, really good tonight.
Yeah, he was. He was outstanding. And we've got to mention the gaffer. We've got to mention Neil Lennon. You know, he's the man who has taken a lot of this on the chin. I felt that tonight, not only did the team perform well, Neil Lennon as a manager performed extremely well as well, Steve.
He was on the touchline. He led from the front. He was giving his directions, barking out instructions. He led for, again, and that's what all we've been looking for him, just to lead for the front. He's our manager. Let's see what you can do. And tonight, top marks for him, his backroom staff, and all the players.
Now, what we'll do, Stevie, as you know, we go out live on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter, and we invite as many Celtic fans to get involved as possible. The first comment that we have this evening is via YouTube from Stephen Forbes. Now, if anyone is watching on YouTube and you haven't yet subscribed, please do that, because we do broadcasts on a daily basis, and on Matchday, Stevie, sometimes as many as 5 broadcasts, all free of charge. It's a cliche, says Stephen, but we'd have taken a draw before a ball was kicked. I think that cliche was used as the opening of this podcast tonight. McGregor was tenacious all over the park. Mo showed his class, and he certainly did. And Laxalt continues to impress. Much improved performance. Now, I think it will be interesting when AC Milan and Lille come up against each other. Who do you think's the better of the two, Stevie?
Milan.
By some distance?
Yep, I think Milan looked much better. I think Lille improved, no so much through Renato Sanchez, but the wee number 11, I don't know his name, I thought he made a difference. He looked as if he would take the ball and take guys out of position. I thought they improved when they brought him on.
Now, Jock Sporran, again commenting on YouTube, despite losing a 2-goal lead, happy with the performance. It was so important tonight to get that performance, Stevie.
I think the result's great. You know, we've now got to play the double headers, which will decide the group. If we are lucky enough to beat Sparta Prague and take 6 points out of that, depending on the other way, we could be in a great position by the time we face Lille at Celtic Park.
And this is a tournament that I think, due to the circumstances, a lot of Celtic fans were almost writing off the Europa League. But if you're trying to extract positives from it, Stevie, we're chasing a 2-2 at Celtic Park. A defensive mistake near the end gives AC Milan a 3-1. I'm not saying that we were a classier side than AC Milan, and I know that they had taken some players off, taking their foot off the gas, if you like, at that point. But we've gone out there, and that's re-energised the fan base and also the team. I'm sure it's going to be brilliant for the team spirit. Now, Joe Porter reckons that it feels like a defeat because we were 2-0 up. But at the start, we all would have taken a point, absolutely. And David D, also on YouTube, good to see the real Celtic. Are we going to see the real Celtic on Sunday, Stevie?
I think we've given ourselves a real platform to perform on Sunday, Paul. If you're a Celtic player, part of the staff who's been getting the criticism, you need to take the positive tonight. I understand what Joe's saying. I don't feel that feels like a defeat. I feel that's the green shoots of recovery that we've been looking for. I think tonight that was the initial start of us pushing on now.
I hope it is. And Jock Spawn again comes back to mention it. Laxalt, despite not playing much football, was full of running. Very impressed. I mean, it's incredible how he can get up and down that park. But I think, as you say though, one of the main points, one of the main reasons for that was that we were doubling up and supporting both sides, weren't we? Now, we've spoken about Ncham, Stevie, and I think sometimes it's been difficult to try and identify his best position. He's looked very classy at times in Europe, and then sometimes in the run-of-the-mill domestic games he hasn't impressed. Do you think Lenny's found his best position?
I think tonight, which was really, really interesting, when the game started, we all thought Ncham would play to the left and Elyounoussi would be in the 10 role. Neil Lennon reversed that. Elyounoussi worked his socks off, but so did Ncham but when he's got that creativity and the body strength to hold guys off, I thought both of them dovetailed perfectly tonight. Really, really impressed by them. And I thought Olivier Cham was great until he just sort of ran out of gas.
No, you're absolutely right. Now, when we're looking at the performance of Shane Duffy, it's something that Neil Lennon brought up earlier on in his press conference this week about the fact that we need to get behind Shane Duffy. Jaffa Cakes reckons that he really needs to calm down and start using his brain cells. I thought that was one of the best games we've seen from Shane Duffy tonight.
I thought Shane Duffy was fine. You know, again, I think it may be because we were under a wee bit of pressure and he was able to defend. I don't think you'd be able to count the amount of times Shane Duffy had the ball for the last game last week when he had something like 7 to 8 touches. I think it would be much reduced, but I think his clearance and interceptions tonight would be much higher.
Now, I think the frustration is when you see a performance like that, Stevie, you think to yourself, you know, if we'd seen that just over a week ago against Rangers, we would have, you know, would have won that out of the park, no problem. But for some reason, we hadn't clicked. And I think we kept saying leading up to this game, the European game, yeah, it's no pointless because you need to click, and maybe it's tonight we're going to click. I'm hoping it is. I hope I've turned that corner, to use yet another cliche. But what I'm also looking at is the fact that some more players are coming back. We don't know the extent of Ayer's injury tonight. We're hoping it's maybe just a few days recovery. Any changes you'd make based on tonight's performance for Sunday?
There would be nothing I would be rushing to make on that. You know, if all the guys come in, probably it would be Saturday now before they reappear, unless anybody needs treatment tomorrow, and they all declare themselves fit. I think it would be very difficult. And again, I've got no sentiment. If Neil thinks somebody deserves to be out and somebody else comes in, we'd be quite happy for that. But it would be hard to drop the guys after their effort tonight.
No, it would. Now, Andy Echo Scott, commenting on YouTube, reckons that the full-backs were great. No bother in their back four, using pace from a deeper position, more effective than immediately face their full-back when receiving the ball higher up the pitch. I just, you know, quite a bit of the time, I've mentioned that Frimpong's never a right back, but when you look at that performance tonight, I just think, you know, are we more suited with the personnel, Steve? Are we more suited to four at the back? Is that also another reason why Duffy seemed to be far more comfortable?
I think it depends who's fit. I think if everybody was fit, then we would be able to play three at the back. Just now, we're trying to pigeonhole guys and put them in, really in sometimes not their natural position, and it doesn't work. Frimpong, absolutely fantastic tonight, but I think it was more to do defensively with Ryan Christie helping him, because the amount of times, and you're only watching it on the TV screen, that he's still too high up the park. So Christie's got to cover him, Scott Brown's got to come over. He would be ideally suited to playing a wing-back role if our normal three central defenders was fit. When you're trying to put guys into it, it probably doesn't work. But again, and I hope this isn't disrespectful, I don't want Shane Duffy passing the ball as if he's Beckenbauer.
No.
I want him ahead. I want to throw his cell in front of the ball, make hard tackles and put the ball out for shies.
He's got enough ball players around about him, Stevie. You know, and when he was playing what you would expect to be your strongest back three with Julien and Ayer, they two boys can play. Yep. You know, Julien's distribution is incredible, and we know that we're not going to see him again probably until after the next international break. Ayer again, he can travel with the ball, and again, distribution's excellent. I'm happy to have someone like Duffy winning the ball, being the leader at the back, and just, you know, knocking it to these guys.
But if you've got the three at the back and Christopher Ayer goes into the middle of the park to try and break the lines, if you've got three at the back, the other two just move over one. You know, you're not going to be vulnerable. If he does it now when you're playing with a four and Laxalt's bombing forward and they break on us, if your two midfielders, Scott Brown and Callum McGregor, which it was tonight, if they're a wee bit out of position, then you're really wide open. I think we've got great choices here, Paul, between three at the back and four at the back, depending on the circumstances, depending on the personnel and who we're playing against.
Now, there's another good point actually from Stephen James 187 commenting via Twitter. Happy with the draw, should be proud of that performance, and that's a big word tonight. It's the performance. I mean, did I think we were going to get a draw tonight? At a push, I think I said it's the best result we can hope to come away with. it tells a story, Stevie, when you're disappointed with the draw initially because you're 2-0 up. I think Chris Sutton said that tonight. That's the only disappointment from the entire evening, is that the fact that you might have took more from the game. The performance was brilliant tonight.
I thought the only draw we could have got was 0-0 if we would have set up defensively. But again, Neil Lennon's forgot more about football than I'll ever know. He's seen something, whether it's watching Lille or what he's seen in his own players, to put out an offensive team. And they worked very, very well offensively. But more importantly for me, I thought the defending tonight was top class. Turned off for the goal. Brian Christie just lost his man. And again, the real bit of bad luck. But again, these happened after Aya went off. So the things that we'd worked on had to be changed again. You know, Beaton come on, Eddie come on. Delighted to see that they've recovered from their illness to be back playing football. What a bonus that the young men's health's okay. Never mind the football performance.
Yep. And it just shows you how it hits different people differently. El Hamid's left back in Glasgow, even though he contracted it around about the same time. So, you know, I hope he recovers also. A very important player this season. What I want to do, Steve, I've got 2 messages coming through here from Celtic fans, and this just shows you the disparity of opinion. The disparity of opinion and the opinion that everybody is entitled to. So it's on the subject of Olivier Ntcham. Now, he's a player that you know that I continually champion, to the point where someone somewhere had the time at the weekend to record a wee bit of the footage where I said Ntcham had a good game and then try and mock that on Twitter. I don't know where people get the time to do these things, but keep it coming, because you know what? If I'm wrong, it's great, because I thought tonight he played very, very well. So here is point 1 coming in from Highland Jinx 88. Ntcham is stretching the shirt to fit him. Positive. Then from Ewan MacArthur, who's equally as entitled to his opinion, he reckons Ntcham should never play for Celtic again after that shambles. Got bullied the whole game. Lazy, doesn't look bothered. Lennon shows too much loyalty to him.
Where did the second goal come from? Ntcham passes the ball for Frimpong.
Yep.
Everybody's raving about Tom Rogic on Sunday. 2 passes. I thought Ntcham done very, very well tonight.
Yeah.
Shot guys doing all over the park. Where, again, Tom Rogic's a big favourite with Celtic fan. Tom Rogic wouldn't put in that work rate that Ntcham put in tonight.
No, you're right. You're absolutely spot on with that. I mean, you have some players that divide opinion when they play for Celtic, Stevie. And Ntcham's in that category. I think Lennon sees his value in European games particularly. I don't think there's a bad player on that pitch tonight for Celtic.
Again, everybody has an opinion on everything, and that's quite rightly so. But I think you need to back it up sometimes with a wee bit of evidence. I think you'd be hard pushed to time the night until you just get tired where 11 Ntcham done anything wrong.
No, I thought he stuck to his task particularly well, as did all the players. There really was an organisation about that team tonight. You could see the shape. They were so disciplined, Stevie. Now, Stevie Ray, who joins the broadcast on a regular basis as well, is commenting on YouTube. Welcome to the show, Stevie. Hope you're well. Lennon makes those changes 10 minutes earlier, and I think that Celtic win the game. You've got to stop the onslaught Lille not got going. Other than that, a good performance and result. Now, I'm sitting here very confident now, Stevie, going into Sunday's game. I wasn't feeling like that earlier on today, but I'm extremely confident. I think that sometimes there's a siege mentality. I think sometimes Neil Lennon responds to criticism in a certain way. We saw it when he was speaking to the media earlier on this week, and he started, defending himself and defending his players. And the message all week from the club, I think, looking at the media press conferences, Stevie, was we're together. We're all in this together. We're going to put it right. I think tonight is the first steps in putting it right.
Well, again, I was speaking to you earlier on about even going back to the night after the game, after we'd been put out with Inverness Cali, and we all went up to Dens Park on the Saturday. Horrible snowing day, and the Celtic fans just gave a full show of defiance that full game under Kenny. Tonight, we can't be there to show that defiance, but the players done it for us. In the face of adversity, we'll react, and I think this tonight, hopefully, is a kick start for us, and we push on from this.
Yeah, absolutely. What I want Neil Lennon to do in the team, I want him to prove people like me wrong. After the weekend result, after the poor results 3 in a row, Stevie, and I think this is the first step in doing that and proving people like myself wrong, who thought, this isn't going to work, because that's what I was feeling at the weekend.
But I don't think it is wrong. I say, when you make your opinions known and you voice your opinion, it's what's in front of you at that particular time. And up until Neil Lennon came out the other day, his press conference, fiery, we were seeing a passive Neil Lennon. And I think that passivity was passing on to his players.
Yep.
Because nobody was playing with a passion. Neil Lennon tonight showed what we know Neil Lennon's capable of. And I think that manifested itself on his team tonight.
He worked throughout that whole 95 minutes on the sidelines, didn't he?
You know, to such an extent that Laxalt, who was up and down the whole park, the game finished with him trying to put in a cross in the 95th minute.
Yeah.
You know, if we're passive, then we're on the defensive side at 95 minutes, hanging on for grim death. I don't think we were.
No, we definitely
I
were
think
not.
we come back into the game after we'd lost the 2 goals, and possibly with a wee bit of luck and just maybe a wee bit more composure, we could have had a winner.
Absolutely. I think the best chance was El Yunusi. You
Yeah,
know, when
yeah.
he's it just opens up for him, but he takes that extra touch. Now, Mel Carson, here's an interesting point to finish the broadcast off tonight, Stevie. It was even good to see a Yeti being disappointed, being taken off. So what I'm going to ask you is, we've seen 2 strikers tonight. We've seen a Yeti, very impressive. Even though he didn't score tonight, I thought his performance was excellent. And we've seen the return of Edouard. 2 strikers on the bench, Griffiths and Klimala. Who do we start with on Sunday against Aberdeen at Hampden?
If everybody turns up fit and healthy, I would start both of them. You know. But again, I think it's going to be probably Saturday before you'll see the fatigue. If everybody's recovered for their injuries, their exertions tonight, the medical staff will advise Neil Lennon, and then he picks his team. If we turn up with the same attitude as what we had tonight, I think we'll be comfortable winners on Sunday. I don't think Aberdeen can trouble us. You know, again, don't want to go on about it after such a good result. The only people that we need to worry about is the match officials on Sunday.
Well, here's hoping when Aberdeen come down to Glasgow, Stevie, we show the kind of desire and the organisational ability and a bit of flair that we saw tonight. Now, one last comment to leave everybody on this evening, and it's from Stephen James. Supporters should be proud of the team and Lenny tonight. I think we all are. Thanks everybody for getting involved this evening. And the last thing for me to say tonight is thank you once again, Stevie Mullen, for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.
Thanks for having me, Paul.